the higher the standards are maintained, the more people are excited about being a part of what you're all about.
Our context shifted. Now we're looking for the right man, a man that is coachable. When you're running with other Mustangs, like the natural inclination that nature builds into you is to run faster.
You're a man living in the modern world in a time when men and manhood are not what they once were. You live life on your own terms. You're self-sufficient. You think for yourself and you march to the beat of your own drum. When life knocks you down, you get back up because in your gut, you know that's what men do. You're a badass and a warrior. And on the days when you forget, we are here to remind you who you really are.
Welcome to Sovereign Man Podcast, where we aim to make men masculine again. I'm your man, EP228, Billou, and I'm here with my man, Rob Arpa. What's up, Arps?
What's happening? Not much, man.
So, end of the year is approaching, and you and I wanted to talk about what it takes to grow an organization, to grow a movement. And we wanted to use the example of the Sovereign Man organization and our Sovereign Circle program.
Yeah.
To illustrate some of our ideas around this. So, for the benefit of the folks, why don't you share some of your principles and beliefs on how you believe we have been successful this year in getting our movement to grow, and why in previous years we'd experienced a lot of up and down, yo-yo growth and drop, and that's not been the case for the last several months.
No, okay. So in my opinion, I see a lot of parallels between the transition Sovereign Man has gone through, as well as the same as my own business has gone through. So because when it was more we were more in our infancy and launching off the ground, we took anyone and everyone. As long as the man claimed he was a man, we would take him in. It didn't matter if he was battling, mental health issues, which we are unqualified to assist in, or whatever those issues were. We took anyone and everyone to try and bolster our numbers and make sure that we were growing. And then I would say within the last year, I think it was, our context had shifted. So now it's not about just adding men to the organization, but now we're looking for the right men. I think that's really what has got us more of a sustained growth path. Not so much just taking them all on, but taking the right ones on. So for listeners that are listening in, we didn't just start we'll let anyone join us, but we came up with a probationary period, right? And then at the end of that period, we extend the invitation to that man to continue membership, or we decide whether or not to let him go. And we regularly go through a culling, which seems to be like the numbers that we're cutting off now is kind of dwindling, right? Do you remember the first time we called members, like how many we cut off? I
Honestly,
don't remember,
we went down from 21, 22 to 12.
12.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't. Did we do that in one swoop, or we cut off like 5 or 6 men?
It was in a couple of tranches.
Yeah.
But talk a bit about what being the right man means in the context of the Sovereign Man organization. What constitutes the right man?
That's a good question. For me, a man that's right fit for our community, for our brotherhood. Is one, I think the easiest part of membership is showing up. Just make the meetings, whether they're the Zooms online, the in-persons, overnights, whatever. Show up, right? Because that's where the bond of brotherhood starts. It's when showing up. When a man lives by excuses for reasons not to show up, and then most of the times Zoom is freaking easy to show up on. That's not a right fit, first and foremost.
Yeah.
Second off, a man that is coachable. right? Someone that's willing to reveal whatever he's going through, and then allow for the discovery process to take part. I think that's a very important factor. And I think the other one too is another man that's willing to walk through the discussion of not self-revelation, but I guess for men to go through the discovery process of figuring out how to get through his barriers.
Yeah.
Because men we're addicted to fixing problems, even I think more so when they're not our own. So a lot of men automatically try to fix stuff, and we really don't have the right without permission to fix someone else's problems. And you know that as much as I do that. Especially when it comes to our women, it's like, yeah, we're not here to fix their problems for sure. That just creates tension within the relationship, right?
It does.
Yeah, and it will for a man too. And like, why take away that man's victory, right? When it becomes your solution, it's your victory over his, unless he doesn't see it, and you offer to extend that olive branch, and he accepts it. That's a different story. But just trying to go out and fix it, usually doesn't work out well. Sometimes it does. Sometimes it doesn't. Yeah. And I think with those are the three key aspects I look for in a good candidate. Yeah.
Well, I think those are good criteria that we want to make sure anyone that gets to come into our brotherhood adheres to. I mean, attendance is mandatory, being coachable is mandatory, and being somebody who's going to give a shit about other people and not just yourself is mandatory. It's also important that they be willing to adhere to the standards of the group. And I think to me, that's the most important thing that we've done is we've outlined a set of standards and we've adhered to them. We've adhered to them. Because if a man is unwilling to align with that, he can't be a part of our group. And I think that the men that see that are now more excited about being part of Sovereign Man, because they see that Sovereign Man is a place where their own standards will get elevated. I think the biggest thing any man wants in life is to be better, And
that I would argue.
I would say that men want to be better. Now, whether they're willing to take the actions to be better is a different story. But I think the desire to be better is there in every man. So here's a quote from the book The Prophet by Khalil Gibran. Or Gibran, depending on how you pronounce it. Verily, the lust for comfort murders the passion of the soul and then walks grinning in the funeral. Verily, the lust for comfort murders the passion of the soul and then walks grinning in the funeral. And what?
Wow, that's pretty dark.
What Sovereign Man is all about is we're all about catching that fucking murderer before he has a chance to actually murder the passion of the soul. Because that lust for comfort, that's Justin Sterling's way of calling men a lazy loiterer. That's the lust.
Lazy loiterer,
The lust for comfort. But the lust for comfort is such a more elegant turn of phrase than lazy loiterer, right? And to me, I believe you grow an organization when that organization is an organization that has standards that are clear and that it refuses to compromise on. Because those that see that want to be a part of it. And those that don't want those standards are repelled by them. I believe the best thing about our community today is we repel the losers. We repel the losers.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm so thrilled with that. Like, this weekend, there's a man that we just booted from the community, right? Because, he hasn't fucking been showing up. And he says, well, maybe I'll come back. All right. You want to come back, you got a path back, but I'm not going to fucking go chasing them. Fuck you. You want to go, go. You want to come back, come back. You don't want to come back, get the fuck out. Stay gone.
Right. Maybe in 6 or 12 months, we'll extend a membership, not a membership, invitation to come back out to a guest event or some shit like that.
Some shit like that.
Yeah. We're not going to, we're not going to chase. Look, being in your masculine essence, it's not an easy feat.
No,
especially when men are not raised to be men any longer.
no,
There's so few men, that make the transition from boy to man,
yep,
and then a lot of them just they want to stay in their boyhood, and why not? Like, who wouldn't want to sit in their parents' basement, into their 40s and 50s, drinking, getting high, and playing video games all day while living off your parents' backs. Like it's not an easy world out there anymore. It's nothing like it was when our parents were growing up. It's a hard fucking life. It's finally starting to catch up with us here in the West, and it may go for another decade or so, but I get it. It's not an easy life, but this is the law of nature. It's kill or be killed. Not every generation, or no, not every generation for sure can do what's going on. And it looks like the Gen Xers, they will eat through whatever assets their greatest generation and boomer parents have left behind, and then everyone else after that is screwed. It's kill or be killed.
yeah,
Sad, but that's the reality, right? I remember reading that. I don't know if it was Toronto Star or Sun article, but it was an article. I read a bunch of this shit. I remember certain facts, and then I don't remember where it comes from. But they were the government was aware of this factor way back when. And then let's face it, like Gen X right now is on on the heel of retirement, right? They're about what is it, like 15% in or so,
yeah.
maybe a little higher. Yeah. So like
I'm a Gen Xer. I'm born in '67, right? So theoretically, I'd be retiring in 6 years, 7 years, theoretically.
maybe
I don't really think I'm retiring.
maybe
I don't think I'm retiring.
no.
I mean, we got work to do. But the truth of the matter is, if you're attempting to grow an organization, the way you're going to grow that organization is you got to give people something about that organization that is valuable to them right away.
Yeah.
You know,
I think the other thing too that going the transition from newly startup to smaller enterprises is going through that transition of culling all the bad. I don't want to use the word bad clients, but like I don't know the other the associations that don't fit. You know what I mean? That has to happen. And that's stuff that you find. It's also riddled in nature if you look hard enough, right? Like what is it? There's birds that shed their baby feathers. There's snakes shed their skin and stuff like that. That's this shedding is a natural process, and everything has to go through it. And I think in terms of sovereign man, we went through it. And I think the other things we've been learning too is about standards and operating procedures or rules, whatever term you want to use. Like these things need to be addressed, and especially for men. There are men that say that they don't like to abide by rules and whatever, and any man that says that has to understand that is a very boyish behavior,
it is.
being anti-rule or not wanting to be governed by rules, because all rules do is set a framework of how to operate, and so do standards. Standards are a little more contextual. They're not as clear, black and white. You know what I mean? It's like speed limit's a rule, but giving your best is more contextual. That's more like a standard, and that's everywhere in life. You can't just do whatever you want whenever you want, because you won't get rewarded. That's for sure.
No,
It should cost you money, cost you success, cost you relationship. But when you play within the rules, you get the rewards.
the truth of the matter is, organizations like ours attract people to them when they have standards. Men see an opportunity for themselves to develop and get better and grow. And these organizations create a path for leadership. Our organization has created a path for leadership development for the men. It's also helped them elevate their own personal standards. It's also provided a space for community, brotherhood, and all of that has got to happen. Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
there's a reason too why a lot of the men that are attracted to the organization that we were building are self-employed or contract work kind of thing, because it's a sandbox, right? Like it's a sandbox where a man gets to develop and practice his own disciplines and leadership skills, where it translates into their everyday lives, right? Like we always say that how you do one thing is how you do everything, which is the truth.
Yep.
And if that's practiced long enough, right? What is it? Is it Sterling that says it takes 90 days before discipline becomes? Oh shit! How is it? No, it's before an agreement becomes a discipline or whatever, and then it starts to bleed into your lives.
Yeah.
And we've seen all kinds of men that stepped up into leadership, turned their lives around. How many men can have gone from little to no income to 6 figures?
We had a man in our community who isn't there anymore, but when he first joined us, he was broke, and then he created his own business, 6-figure business. We've had a man in our community who's led our point programs for new men, and that man has increased his income significantly. We've had a man in our community who, let's face it, Arp, was a pussy and bad with women when he first joined us. And right now he's not a pussy and he's really good with women, right? And we could go on and on.
Few men like that, right? Yeah. The thing is, like, everyone thinks, oh, you're unique. There's no uniqueness to any one of us, right?
That's
like,
special.
yeah, sure, 2 of us don't look exactly the fucking same, and I get that. But 80% of us, we're all the same. You know what I mean? Like the bare parts, we all have the same skeletal structure, the same muscles. Yeah, okay, so there's minute differences, blah, 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 blah. We all go through the same shit, lather, rinse, repeat. And it sucks that, nobody's, quote unquote special, but, to be running with the Mustangs, like there's good momentum with that. And I think that's the other thing that, our meetings do, is it helps men to maintain that momentum. Right. And I think, what's his name talks about that. What's that big, personal development speaker there? Tony Robbins, I think talks about, momentum and winning, having that same momentum where, you start off small and it starts to snowball. And I think, I think what we do helps to keep that momentum going forward, because we won't just sit there idly by, just let a man, skate by. So yeah, I think there's a lot of that. And I think part of the reason too why we're growing so well is because we mine that momentum, right? Like if we look at our last open guest event, I think one of the men that's had some of the more recent wins, he brought out 2 guests?
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Did they both sign up? I know one did for sure. Yeah, right. They both signed up, right?
No, I think one signed up. The other one said he wanted to sign up, but the other one was the one who said he was broke. And I actually had a chat with that broke dude to help him get some money going, and he wants to sign up. He said the money was the only reason he wasn't signing up. So I said, well, fuck it, let's get your money situation handled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The one thing I'm not keen on is charity.
No.
I don't like giving money because it's not earned, and a man needs to earn his fucking keep. We've done that in the past with other organizations where men have just fucking tossed money. Some men actually
the men who are part of our community have to pay a fee, and honestly, our job's got to be to grow the community right now to a certain size before we look at making dramatic changes to what we offer and how we offer it to the men. We still are, even though we're growing and we're moving in a good direction, we got a ways to go. We got a ways to go before we can say that we've grown to the point that this really all fucking makes perfect, beautiful sense, right? So we're going to be on top of all this. This is good. I'm excited. I want to get more good people to our world, our community. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
And if someone's listening to this and you're trying to grow an organization, maybe it's a network marketing company, maybe it's your company, maybe you're growing a community, this is what you got to do to grow the community. You've got to have standards. It's got to be clear what's in it for them. There's got to be opportunities for development and growth and leadership for folks. And you can't compromise on your standards. Standards must be maintained. The higher the standards are maintained, the more people are excited about being a part of what you're all about.
Yeah, standards, disciplines. Yeah. Those are all that's all great advice. But I think that, for those that are out there that are starting their businesses or in their business already and it's not doing the greatest, I think the biggest thing those men need to know is that they don't have to do this alone. I'm not talking about taking on an invested business partner, but joining a community like ours. Like when you're running with other Mustangs, like the natural inclination that nature builds into you is to run faster. That's all we want to do. And it's not about putting another man down. It's just spirit of competition. Let's just run.
Yeah. Amen. I like what we're doing here at Sovereign Men. I like the fact that our standards are nice and high. I want to encourage everyone listening to this episode to think about how you can keep your standards high and not compromise on them, because it's very, very important to keep your standards high. The higher you keep your standards, the better off you're going to be. Period. Full stop. End of story. Life is good when your standards are high and you're adhering. Your
standards are high.
Yeah. I look at myself.
If men don't know what standards are, find us. We're not hard to be found.
No. Yeah. But I look at myself, right? My standards around nutrition and eating have been elevated in the last 3 years, right? And I feel a lot better for it. I'm stronger, I'm healthier, I'm leaner. That's because I decided to elevate my standards. And I've got people that help me with that. I've got communities I'm part of that are all about maintaining high standards in that regard. I think we all need to do that, bro. I really do.
That's a funny thing. So like you and I have been working together on this now for a couple of years, right? So now you've made a personal switch because you've always been in a mindset of personal fitness and all that other stuff, right? But for the first while I've known you, you were doing it one way, and then you switched, and I don't want to say it. I want it to come from you because I don't want any listener to think that it's me really setting shit up. But what was the biggest change that made you
I decided to join a community with high standards. Really, that's the bottom line, because I was trying to figure it out on my own, and my standards were low. I didn't think they were low, but they were really fucking low. And I joined a community with way higher standards than me, and I started to see what high standards looked like, and I adhered to them, and that's how I won.
But it was more than just having high standards. You had access to information, right? Like
information and people that you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
So there's this motivational speaker back in the 70s. His name was Charlie Tremendous Jones, right? And he would say that you're gonna be the same person today, 5 years from now, as you are today, except for two things: the books you read and the people you hang around, right?
Yes.
And books give you ideas about higher standards. People actually model and hold you accountable to higher standards if you're in the right environment,
in the right circle,
and you're reading the right books. So when I did what I did in terms of my health and fitness, I hired a coach. He had a whole community of people there, and their standards were fucking sky high, while mine were low. So I had to raise my standards to be accepted in this group. And if you want to grow a group, well, you got to model high standards, and you got to have high standards. You got to let people know that if you want to be a part of this, you got to raise your standards. And those that don't raise their standards, you shouldn't keep them around. You should kick them out. At first, like you said, we used to try to keep people around because we just wanted any warm body. When we stopped doing that,
numbers,
we started to grow. Like when we stopped thinking numbers are more important than quality of standards, when we rejected that thinking, is when we started to grow. Growth is a byproduct of doing the right things. if you try to grow and you do the wrong things because you think growth is going to come from those wrong things, then there's going to be no growth, none whatsoever.
Yeah. See, and it's funny because like in that situation, you know, you looking at it, you're like, I had to increase my standards, which is not really fucking true. But the fact that you are running now with a herd of Mustangs and they pulled you, right? Because you're looking at these men, you're saying, fuck, I want to be like him. I want to be like him. I want to be like him. What are they doing differently? And then it came to you, and you're like, all of a sudden, boom, that was a massive transformation, right? You went from, what was it, like losing something like 20 or 30 pounds for years to, what was it, third in that
58 pounds.
Yeah, but you did that whole bodybuilding competition.
I did.
Right?
At the bodybuilding competition, my weight was 60 pounds below the peak of when I started, right?
Yeah. But you were also placing on the podium with men that were half your age, which was nuts.
Which is crazy, yeah. So I'm at this stage, man, like I'm back in the journey, and at the moment I'm not in a weight loss kind of a mode because I've been in a put on muscle mode. So I put on a few pounds back on, nowhere near what I lost. But when I go back on stage, my goal is to be as lean as I was when I was down 60 pounds, but only to be down like 45 because the muscle will have replaced what used to be like fat weight, right? And like the leanest I've been at in this stage of my life was 167 pounds. And I'd like to be in the mid 170s to 180, but the same level of leanness, like a 29-inch waist, nice and tapered.
Sure.
Cuts in my cuts, veiny, and fuck, I feel amazing at that. I mean, I feel pretty good right now, but I want to feel the best I've ever felt. I want to be 60 years old feeling better than I felt when I was 30. I think that's fantastic.
Yeah. But again, it's the journey, right? The transformation. We all, the delusion of men, we all think we can do it alone. The truth is we can't.
No, we can't.
It's not possible.
No.
So you need to be in the right community, in the right space. Now, thankfully for us in Sovereign Man, our space isn't specific to, fitness and well-being or business. It's a little broader, and it's all about, self-development and relationships. And that'll get men to a certain level. And then after that, the man will get challenged to seek something more specialized. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? Because your fitness coach may not be the person you're going to want to talk about business and all about other stuff because you're not in the same business, right? But we've got a plethora of men, a plethora of businesses, and there's a lot of individual core themes that'll get you to a certain level before you need to get specialized communities. And the biggest thing we do is we take boys and turn them to men.
We do, man. And what's really cool is the men in our community right now fucking love the community, and this includes some men that we've really fucking called to account in a very direct and intense way. I mean, in the last, open guest night that we had, there was a man in the community who was called to task for how he was being. And I got to say, that man is, to his credit, still stepping into the fire. Like he's not running away. You know what I mean? And I'm impressed with him for that reason.
Yeah. Oh, there was a few that have, it's funny again, like it's the community that calls it out, right? Because that's how it really started, right? That's how it started. A barrier had surfaced that he couldn't hide from any longer, and then again, we say an inspection had occurred, but an inspection is nothing more than a conversation, where a man is just tells us more about the barrier, and we try to help him figure out how to get past it, and so he did, right? And it's funny because I remember he was saying 20 touch points. I remember 20 touch points, and I
He
don't
said
remember if it
20
was me that
calls,
asked the
bro. He
question.
said 20 calls. He did not say touch
20,
point.
20
That came
20
after
calls
the fact when he decided
after.
calls were too much work.
Anyways,
And
so I don't remember
we asked
if it
him, "Is
was,
that your best?" And on his own, he
is that
said,
your
"I'm gonna
best?
do
Yeah,
100." And then I'm like,
100.
"Okay." And then he goes, "Well, 100 was too many, so I did below 50." And then
Yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't tell you. And then he said, "Oh, I also didn't tell you that I changed it from calls to touch points." I'm like,
Touch points. But the other thing that
So he actually made
mentioned,
0 calls. That's the hilarious part.
0
of it.
calls.
0 calls.
But the funny part is like he still got what, like two new clients, 2 or 3 new clients out of
Yeah.
that.
Because
So
the
now,
energy of action attracted people to him versus
Yeah,
if he'd have done nothing. But he still
nothing.
the lesson.
Well, if he'd done nothing, he'd be in the same place.
The lesson for a man is taking some action is better than taking no action.
None.
But
Yeah,
the other lesson is imagine what would have happened if he'd actually done what he said the way he said he'd do it by when he said he'd do it. Imagine what the results would have been if that had happened.
yeah. That's that question, is that your best, is a funny thing, right? Because no man knows his best until he actually fails at it. You know what I mean? But that's the beauty of it. Like you have to be able to be willing to take that risk of fucking up in order to find out what your best is, right?
100%.
And then the stupid part about it too is after you screw up, you figure out how to do whatever you did even better. So now your best has just been pushed even further away. But that's the thing, right? That's life. Men that are successful, they do their best. They figure out what their best is, and then they figure out how to make it better, and then they go again. And that's really it. That's what we do in our business. Every time I'm on a job site, I see where I screw up, and I figure out how to do it better for the next job, and I do. And then that bar keeps moving higher and higher, and our income slowly and steadily keeps growing.
Oh,
nothing more to it than that, right? Same thing with Sovereign Man. We figure out what our best is in terms of running this organization. We see where we screw up, we make some changes, and it grows, and it's working.
It is. And what's really working is that the men in the community are keen on bringing their ideas for how to make us better.
Yeah. They're there to contribute as much as they are to receive.
Yeah.
Which is how these communities work. The one thing I always hated was when men showed up, they'd hang around a couple of meetings and they're like, "Oh, I don't think I'm getting any value." That's a load of shit.
Well,
that is a
those
load
are
of
losers,
shit.
Man. Those are losers. They don't want to put in the work required to get value. Value is the value you get is the value you give. If you don't give what you should give, you have no right to expect that you will get what you should get. That's
I don't even think that's even true. These are just men that they were on the call, but they weren't paying attention, right? Because again, there's nothing unique to men. Like, a man might want to go from a $20,000 income to $100,000 income, and another man's going to go from 100,000 to 200,000. But the principles and the formulas, they're the fucking same. Just the situations are slightly different. And any man can learn from another man's barriers if they open up, because there's no uniqueness to barriers. They're all the fucking same.
They really are.
They're all the same.
They really are. They really are.
Yeah. So a man that says he's not receiving values is just not paying attention and not doing the work.
Well,
simple
again,
as
that means you're not giving what you should give, which is your attention, your contribution, your awareness of what you want. One of the best coaches I've ever had said to me that the responsibility for the results you get is all on you. It's not at all on me. My responsibility is simply to show you the path, the shortest, most efficacious path from here to here. If you are unwilling to take that path, you have zero expectation of a result. Zero expectation of a result. If you think about that, Arp, zero expectation of a result.
Expectations,
Zero.
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 Was it,
So for me, when I join a community, hire a coach, whatever, right? So I'm part of something right now, and it's expensive. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
But the guy said that you come in here, and you have a good kind of offering. I'm going to make introductions for you that should result in you getting business. And for these introductions, I expect a fee and a percentage on top of that fee of what you sell as a result of the introductions I make. So you asked this from this guy. I agreed to all this, and it was it's a lot of money. I'm paying this dude a lot of fucking money a month, right? But then I asked myself, well, if I don't get the result, I'll stop. But so far, I have a positive return on my investment with this group. And not only that, I believe that I'll spend a year with this guy and I'll be paying him close to 50 grand Canadian, okay? Like that's a lot of money,
nice.
right?
Yeah, it's a good chunk.
But I believe that as a result of that, I'll be receiving somewhere in the neighborhood of 150 to 200 grand.
That's not bad.
Right? In additional sales I otherwise wouldn't get. So while I'm paying this dude a good chunk of cash, I'm also receiving a return on that investment that is above what I'm paying, right? So
yeah, 2 to 3 to 1.
At the end of the day, that's what matters, right?
Yeah.
That's really bottom line what matters, okay? And if it continues to go well, I'll continue to be a part of the program. As long as the return on the investment is positive, I'll stay with them. If the return on the investment dips and is negative, and I'll give it, like I told myself I'd give him 6 months. So I knew what I had to pay him over 6 months. And I said, if at the end of the 6 months, I've made more money than I've spent, it was worth it. And by month 4, in the 4th month, I'd made more money than I'd spent. And then, if at the end of 12 months, I've made 2.5 to 4 times what I spent, then fuck it, dude. I keep going. But it's up to me.
Right on.
It's up to me. I got to show up to the fucking sessions. I got to meet the people. You know what I'm saying? That's how it gets done. That's how it gets done.
Right on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
Anyways, our good conversation on the secret of how to grow an organization.
The secret that's not so secret.
Well, it's not so secret to you and me, but you got to understand.
Yeah.
It's secret to most other people because they don't have a clue. And even for us, well, we didn't start growing the organization. We were doing it wrong for the first few years. So it's just been...
we did what we had to do, yeah.
Yeah, it's just been a culmination of our efforts. It's finally, okay, we're in the right place.
Yeah, moving in the right direction, yeah.
Exactly.
I agree.
Exactly. No, it's good. So Art, Merry Christmas. Good to have you here. And
it's been a good time. It's been a long time.
It's been a long time. We got to make sure we do these more often. All right, man. And
all right, brother.
That's a wrap.
Thank you for listening to the Sovereign Man Podcast. If you're ready to take charge of your life and become the man you've always wanted to be, we invite you to join the movement at sovereignman.ca.